All right, so now we're moving on to examples 6 and 7. If you look here, they've asked for a few more things, okay? They want your line of symmetry, they want your vertex, but they also want to know your x-intercepts, your y-intercepts, and they want you to sketch the parabola. So there's a little bit more information. We just talked about how you get x-intercepts. How do you get x-intercepts? No. Factor. You get your parentheses, you factor and set each of your factors equal to 0. Okay? So, do you guys want to go ahead and do the x-intercepts and stuff first? Yeah. Okay, so let's do that. How will this factor?
4.
Good. X plus 3 and x plus 4, because those multiply to be 12 and add to be 7. When we set these equal to 0, we end up getting x equals what? -3, and x equals -4. Okay, so over on the side, I'm just going to start writing some of the stuff I need. I still want you to state whether your graph is going up or down, okay? Does anybody know by just looking at this which way my graph is going to go? Up. How do you know it's going to go up? Because your A value is positive. Is that going to be maximum or minimum? Minimum. Good, because everything else will be bigger. Okay, we still need to state what our vertex is, and we know that will be an ordered pair. Then we need our x-intercepts. Okay, we just found those. How do I write my x-intercepts as ordered pairs? -3, 0, and -4, 0. They also want to know your y-intercepts. Who remembers how to find your y-intercept? No. Your y-intercept is where x is 0, right? So here, when we are finding our x-intercepts, we plugged in 0 for y and solved for x. So if we want to find our y-intercept, we're going to plug in 0 for x. If I plug in 0 for x, I'm going to get y equals 0 squared plus 7 times 0 plus 12. Well, all of those are 0, right? And 0 plus 12 is 12. So what is my y-intercept going to be? 0, 12 is correct. 0 for your x, 12 for your y. Okay, so basically, your y-intercept is always the value that doesn't have an x with it, which is usually the number at the end. Okay. So now we're going to go back and find our vertex and our, oh, I forgot to write our line of symmetry, sorry. Okay, so who remembers the equation for finding your vertex? Very good, -b over 2a. What is my a value? A value is what? 1. If there's no number in front of the x squared, it's a 1. What is my b value? 7, and c is 12. So when I plug that information in, -b will end up being what? -7 over 2 times 1, which makes -7 over 2. If I change that to a mixed number, what's it going to be? -3.5, because 2 goes into 7 3 times with 1 left over, right? So where do I put that? In the xy of the vertex, right? -3.5, and that also represents my, so that's going to be x equals -3.5. Now the last thing I need to find is my y value of the vertex, right? Yeah. So we find that by plugging in your x value, which is -7 over 2. So we're taking this and plugging it back into our equation. So y equals -7 over 2 squared plus 7 times -7 over 2 plus 12. And I'm going to move this up so you guys can follow this a little better here. Okay, so when we square it, what do we get here? Good, 49 over 4. Can anything reduce here? No. So when I multiply, what do I get? Negative 49 over 2, good. And then I saw plus 12. Now, in order to deal with fractions, they need to have what? Common denominators, okay? So we're going to change these to have common denominators. My denominator is going to end up being what? 4. So I usually just rewrite each of my fractions with 4 and the denominator, and then I go back and look at these. So this is already 49 over 4, so I'm just going to rewrite the 49 because this one didn't change. On this one, I have to multiply 2 times what to make 4? 2. So that means I have to go 49 times 2, which is 98. Very good. This 12 is really over what? 1. So I have to multiply 1 times what? 4. So that means I have to multiply 12 times 4, which gives me 48. Okay? And then we're going to go through and solve. So 49 minus 98 is negative 49. And then negative 49 plus 48 is, so I get negative 1/4. So that means my y value of the vertex is negative 1/4. And that negative 1/4 is also what? My minimum value. Because I didn't end up with a fraction of a fraction on this one. Because my a value, that only happens when like one of these is a fraction. Okay? All right. So now we have to plot all these points. And so let's start with our vertex. Where do I go for my vertex? Negative 3.5. So I'm just going in the middle, right? And then I need to go negative 1/4, which is just in between 0 and negative 1. So there is my vertex. The other point you want to plot is your x-intercept, which is at negative 3, 0. And there's also one at negative 4, 0. And your y-intercept is like off the graph. It's like up there at 12, 0. And then you make your curve. And the last thing I still need to make is my line of symmetry. And you're done. So that part is your answer along with your graph. Okay. So there's a lot of information there, but you can do it. You guys ready? This last one's pretty easy in terms of numbers. Do you guys want to try it on your own, or should we just do it together? Okay, so let's just write all the information we need. Okay, the first thing we know that we need is the graph, and if we look at this right now, is the graph going to go up or down? Up. How do we know it's going up? A is positive. Is it going to be a maximum or minimum? Very good, minimum. Okay, we also will need our vertex, which we know is going to be an ordered pair. We also need our line of symmetry. And line of symmetry will always be x equals some number. You will need your x-intercepts and your y-intercepts. So, I think maybe finding our x-intercepts and y-intercepts are easy to do first. Can anyone tell me without doing any work what my y-intercept is going to be? Not negative. If you plug in 0 for your x's, these would all be zeros and you'd just be left with y equals 5. So that means my y-intercept is 0, 5. X is 0, y is 5. For my x-intercepts, I need to do what? Set this equal to 0 and factor, right? So what multiplies to be 5 and adds to be 6? And when you set each of those factors equal to 0, we get x equals -5 and -1. But as ordered pairs, those are -5, 0 and -1, 0. Good. Okay, so now we're going to go and find the x value of the vertex. The equation for finding the x value of the vertex is good, negative b over 2a. But I need to state, what is my a value? 1. What is my b value? 6. And my c value is 5. So with negative b over 2a, we have -6 over 2 times 1, which is -6 over 2, which is -3. So where do I put that -3? Your vertex for the x, -3, and where else? Line of symmetry. How do I find my y value? Take this and plug it back into your original equation. Okay, so we have y equals -3 squared plus 6 times -3 plus 5. What is -3 squared? 9. 6 times -3 is -18 plus 5. 9 minus 18 is -9, and -9 plus 5 is -4. So -4 is the y value of my vertex, and it is also what? The minimum. Okay? And now you have to put all this information onto your graph. So where do I go for the vertex? Left 3, down 4. There's my vertex. Where are my x-intercepts? -5, 0, and -1, 0. My y-intercept this time is on the graph, and it's 0 up 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then you can draw your parabola. And the only thing I'm missing is my line of symmetry, which is right through the vertex at x equals -3. And that is the end.